Um, quick disclaimer. Um, I had finished recording this, and I'm not joking. I finished recording this. I was done. Everything was already done, and then I get a notification. Vixen had been updated. I'm like, oh, cool, new chapter. Nope. It's them basically stating the author going, hey, I'm rewriting this, or they're cleaning up and they're kind of rewriting it, and I'm like, fantastic. So, I mean, I haven't read all of it, right? All the new, like everything, but so far, everything's kind of like the same, just like a few details here and there added, but mainly it's all the same. So, I mean, oh my god. I might have to re-record. I might just like do another video on this. I don't know. But I think so far from what I read, all of it is still the same, just like small details here and there are just like a bit different or like they're added. So if like by the end of this, if you go to the fan fiction and it's like, wow, it's nothing like that you described. I'm not a liar, I swear. It was like that. And you just like rewrote it and like reworked some things. But it was like that originally, I swear. And so I'm not a liar, but uh just a little warning that if you do go to it, that it would like it will be a bit different than what I probably described. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Today we're talking about a fanfiction called Vixen. Details about this fanfiction will be in the description below. Now, this is like a reborn as Lila Rossi fanfiction, and I feel I only know like two other fanfictions, both actually reborn as Lila, where it takes inevitable confrontations with Marinette in like a different direction. Oh, actually three, because that's technically a reborn as Chloe one. Yeah, but I'll talk about it in a minute, right? So she's reborn as Lila, and well, not reborn, but she's like transport, like she dies and she's transported. Like, oh, here you go, your soul is not here, right? And she has a system with it, and I like how I do like it when they give the system some personality, right? It's not just like here it is. It gives some personality because as soon as she wakes up, she's like, no, she's like immediately take me back, put me back. She's like, bitch, take me home, and this is sort of like awkward. I can't do that, and so she's just like throughout the years, she's just kind of like stuck as Lila, and she does get points, so she does lie because she gets liar points that she can spend like in the system for certain things, but it's never anything like devastatingly bad to lie about. It's like little white lies of like just stupid things that like if someone eventually like finally it's like whatever, it's like, oh, I have a dog, like things that don't really matter, like it's whatever, right? And so she does get points for that. And she eventually, she goes through life like that. And she eventually she freaks out, which is how she gets it. But she gets into music, which is just kind of releasing media, which is my favorite thing in fanfiction when the character is reborn or the person is reborn as whatever character, right? It doesn't really matter. And they realize that certain media doesn't exist anywhere else. They're like, I'll just make it, whatever. And then just become like the new Walt Disney or whatever. They're like, I'll just make it. And so she realizes that with music because she freaks out one day because she's like, I want to listen to this song, but this song doesn't exist because Taylor Swift doesn't exist. And she realized that she's like, I can't. So she starts like throwing a tantrum, and the system's like, I mean, like, I can just offer you like your phone back, as in like the phone that like she originally had, and it connects like her world. She can't like send up text or do anything, but like not that she really wants to look at it. And I do like how it does handle her death and how she handles her death, which is not great. And it is like, it would be jarring to just die and then suddenly being like, surprise, you're in a show and you're reborn as this character. Like, that would be jarring. But we do get glimpses of like articles and posts from like friends of like her memorial, like she's dead. And it's like, it really just solidifies like, yeah, you're dead, like you died. So she starts, releasing music because you can't really get copyright if it doesn't exist here. So she starts releasing music under like a stage name because her name's like Delilah. So she starts like under like just Lila. She's like my stripper name. Nice. And so she's like, so like her theme's like lilac though. She starts, her parent, like her situation with her parents, they divorced. And then her dad, like, which she never is like, you talk about it, but like her dad isn't really in her life, doesn't really want to be either. And like, at least he doesn't really pretend that he wants anything to do with her, just sends money over, like his child support, just calls it a day. It's done with it, right? But he's suspicious, like suspiciously, you remarried a bit fast. So it's like, and she works under Style Queen and like in the magazine. So it's like, okay, that's kind of a connection to not Chloe, but like kind of with Audrey and like Style Queen. And then her mom is like very work orientated, so she ends up being like kind of neglectful towards her. And really over time she starts to notice, and she has this system about it. It's like where the system explains to her like, this is like, it's no longer a show. So it did start out very kind of cartoonish and people's reactions, like, and certain things, yes. But over time, because she's here, like the world will adjust and become more real. How in certain ways where people will react to things so cartoonishly and like that will never, like, who reacts that way to certain things, it's like they won't react that way to it, right? Because it's like, that's so like fake. But now this is reality for her, so they will react like normal people, if that makes sense. And then Lila gets hit with the whole, hey, we're going to Paris, like from her mom. At this point, Lila is pretty famous for the work she does. She's like a very famous musician, and then also just like the work, like the humanitarian work she does, and volunteering and doing everything. So she's pretty well known and like everything. And so this is where like kind of again, it's like, yeah, it's not like our show, it's kind of reality, because she looks up Paris, moving there, obviously nothing, and as soon as she lands in Paris, that's when she starts, she closes out her fan fiction, and then that's when she goes on the internet, and because now she's in Paris, the media blackout, it doesn't like apply to her anymore. So now she starts seeing akumas and everything, because she heard everyone, like people talking about it, like in the airport, where it's like, oh, I came for a good time, left with traumas from butterflies. It's like, ooh, very unfortunate. And so the media blackout is very real, and why you look it up, no idea what you're talking about. So it's like, which I'm like, in this case, what's it gonna be like? Because clearly we're still in like season 1, because you just started. But it's like, I'm wondering, like, so what's it gonna be like when New York happens? Because again, media blackout, but once the whole thing in New York happens, now what? We're just, oh, you had it done this entire time? Why didn't anyone know about it? Like, But so she arrives and she wants to get the lay of things. I mean, she knows the language because she spent some points on it in the system, so she maybe knows the language, but she kind of makes up the excuse like, oh, my dad's wife, like she's like in France and like she knows French and blah blah. So like, but she spent some points on it, and so she starts walking around to like start knowing her way around. doesn't work, ends up getting lost, it gets dark, and so she's like, oh shit. And this is how she ends up meeting Cat Noir, because he ends up saving her because someone drunk starts getting some ideas. He gets scared away by Cat Noir. So this is how she ends up meeting him. And she, again, recognizes him, but, can't really say that. And so they end up having like a little cute kind of moment. He ends up taking her home. And it's a very like adorable moment. And she's like kind of like honest with him. It's like, oh yeah, I'm new. I'm going to start school. No idea how that's going to go. And how she's going to be early because doesn't know where she's going. And so the next day when it does happen, she doesn't end up going to school. She ends up running into Adrian. And like, I mean, literally running into Adrian because it's like, oh, what are you doing? It's like, she was not expecting him. It's like, what are you doing here? And, from Adrian's point of view, we got like, because it's kind of where she is, said this to him. And he was kind of like shocked and like, oh, but he's also like happy because like, oh, she didn't recognize him. I'm like, yeah, I mean, she did, but like, like a liar, you gotta lie and say, oh, who are you? And like, it makes sense. Me to black out, who the hell are you? I don't know who you are. And so because she didn't recognize him as Cat Noir and like, she's new, he thinks like, oh, maybe she won't recognize me as Adrian, which is like, no, she recognizes him. And so she's like, oh, it's like, and you are, and it's like, oh, you don't recognize me? She's like, of course I do. You're from the ad, but like, I don't know who you are personally. It's like, what is it supposed to mean to me? And she's like, do you know who I am? It's like, whatever. It's like, it literally doesn't matter. It's like, what are we talking about right now? And so he's very, and that's like very refreshing with Adrian because like, yes, she's seen around like ads. That's, you'd have to have your head in the sand not to recognize that. But it's like, again, it's not like she knows you personally or anything. And so her ankle ends up spraining though because she's wearing heels. And so she ended up falling awkwardly. And so they end up going, he ends up carrying her though. Where she's like, oh, like, and he was, again, kind of touched because even though like I was kind of more when he said like, oh, I'll carry you to where your house is. He was touched that she's like, oh, is this okay? Like to touch him. Because it's like, it's not like anyone's ever asked, which is sad. But no one's asked him that. So it's like, again, like Adrian's like, you're okay with this? Like, oh, it's no bother, it's fine. And that's when he recognizes her nails. She did her nails, and they're like toxic green with some paw prints, and same like the zipper on her shoe for their cats. And so he's like, oh my god. After like getting her home and make sure she's okay, and then talking to her a bit and taking a picture, like she became like a fan because it's like, from her nails to like the little charm like on her boots. It's like, okay, very clearly they're a fan. And like the entire way when he's taking her to like the infirmary or like the nurse's office and to the classroom, they're just having like an easy time talk. Like it's very easy for Adrian to talk to her, and they're having like effortless like conversation. And Adrian knows like he's very comfortable when talking to her, which, not to say like, he instantly fell in love. No, but like he just knows like, oh, he just like instantly like, because she doesn't care. And Adrian, I do like in this one, he isn't dumb. Like he's not oblivious to how he gets treated. Like in the same way Chloe gets treated because like she's the mayor's daughter. He gets treated the same way. He just, unlike Chloe, doesn't really take advantage of like, like the way that Chloe does, because it's just like, like he doesn't want to be treated differently, but he's aware that others do because, well, he's like Adrian aggressed, even though he really doesn't want to be treated differently. Like even, the class do. So it's like, it's very refreshing to him that Lila's just like, cool. Anyway, like, I don't care. And so when they get to the classroom, they're talking, they're kind of bantering back and forth. She's like, okay, don't mention how we met. Like, that's embarrassing. So they're talking back and forth. And obviously, everyone takes note of this. Like, who is this new girl? And like, so, like, almost instantly, you two became besties. What are we talking about? And Alia and like Nino, and they're like, oh, like hi. She's like, just right off the bat, she's like, oh yeah, I'm Lila Rossi, like blah, blah, blah. And like she just kind of starts going, like, oh yeah, I do music, whatever. It's like pretty well known. It's like you can look it up because she's like, honestly, might as well get it all off the way instead of just being like, oh yeah, I did just look it up and it ain't that big of a deal. Like get it all out the way so we're not suspicious of me anymore. Like just be done with it, right? And so, I mean, like, Adrian does, and he's like, oh, you're actually, like, really popular, like, like, her music, she does everything. It's like, yeah, she does do plenty of, like, charity work, and she does all that, like, it's exactly how she says everything is true. And throughout the entire day, like, Adrian sticks pretty close, because he feels bad, like, she kind of did sprain her ankle because of him, and they stick, he's just pretty close, but they also just like kind of effortlessly kind of talk to each other. And this doesn't go unnoticed by like Nino and Alia. But I do like how Nino, like his, like from what he says, right? Because throughout the entire thing, they notice that they so effortlessly banter like about anime, about whatever. Like they even loudly kind of argue, like, oh, who are you choosing? Like at one point, like hero, like or villain, like a villain will like burn, like or an anti-hero. They're like, we'll burn down the world for you. Our hero is like oath bound to choose the world over you. Like, and they're like, it's not worth it. And so they effortlessly kind of go back and forth, talk about different things, anime, like, and they share a lot of things in common. And obviously, Alia is like, but Marinette, like, it's like, and she already knows how Marinette's gonna react. She's like, that's not gonna be great. And can't help but like, yeah, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, look, they don't even talk. Like, and it's not like, from Adrian's point of view, he thinks Miranda doesn't even like him because, she can't even really talk to him and then she kind of runs away. So to him, it looks like she's just kind of being forced to be in like his proximity because of like, Polly's her best friend and like she knows Nino and like they're friends. So to him, it looks like she absolutely can't stand him and that she's just being forced to be there and then just ducks as soon as she can. So, which I do like how, like, it's like a refreshing, like, Nino is like at least aware because, like, from his movie, he's like, Nino, like, he thinks literally, like, doesn't like him. And I was like, yeah, that is pretty bad. Because it's like, yeah. And so, like, you can't really help, like, it's inevitable, right? Because Marinette can't work up the courage, and Ollie even like acknowledges like if she can't work up the courage like at all to at least talk to him, this was inevitably gonna happen. He was inevitably gonna find someone else. And not to say like they're instantly like in love, but like like look at them, like right, like they're so like almost instantly they hit it off, right? So it was inevitable that even if like there she can't work up the courage, like even talk to him, have one conversation, he's eventually just going to like find someone or run into someone who can. They do end up actually like talking, getting to know Lila during lunch when they're sitting there and like her because Ollie wants an interview of Lila because like clearly she's like new to Paris, so it's like what are your thoughts on here and then blah blah, right? And she clearly sees like her nails. It's like, oh, they cat nail reference. Like, of course, my favorite. Like, who doesn't love a guy? And like, oh, pulls out leather. So it's like inevitable. They start talking and they're like, oh, like him, wanting to be a director and her like a journalist, like very clearly, right? And so Lila kind of allowed a lot of like just anything. She's not like any soft like really, but she does say like, oh, I could like hook you up with so and so, like right, because one of your directors like, oh, I could get you with like hook you up with whatever, right? And they're both like, oh, like shocked by like, oh, this is such like a generous thing, especially since they just met. But she kind of waits around like, yeah, it's not really that big of a deal. But also like, like nepotism only gets so far. Like I get you in the door, introduce you, but like if you can't defend your art and like you suck, nothing I can do about it. And like Nino's like he understands it completely. He's like, yeah, makes sense. I mean, like if he can't, then like does he really deserve it or anything? So the four of them are pretty chill and like they kind of they start off right. And this entire time too, it's like this is where the rest of the class also discover like Lila's like, oh yeah, no, she's really famous, she's this, that, right? And throughout the entire time, she's earning friendship points, like from like the system of being friends with you, because she has like missions. It's like, oh, do do this or whatever, right? So she has like certain kind of quests that she's supposed to complete, and she's like, great. Like some of them, she's like some of them not really all that excited for, and others she's like, okay, but like, how is that gonna, like one of them like it's like work with Hawk, like it goes in details too, and she's like, I don't want to do it. And the assistant gets in her face, she keeps repeating it over. And she's like, oh my God, fine. She's like, I don't really want to do that. And it's probably going to be like some workaround to it too, where it's like, oh, you're doing this. So technically you're working with dog mom or whatever. So it's like, oh, okay. And then another one, she's like, how am I even meant to do that? Which is like, get the fox miraculous as like become like one of the heroes. It's like, how? It's like, there's no shot of that happening. And so, but that isn't to say like she's like faking being friends with anything. She's not really. It's kind of like how anyone would just be like, it's not like you're fake towards people you don't know. You're just like a bit more guarded. Like you're nice, you're polite. You're seeing where this goes before she like kind of letting your walls down. That's how she is, especially with like fans. So she definitely separates them like from her real friends and like has them her phone. And then she's like, oh, these are just people I see. I don't know, like So it's not like she's like faking anything with Adrian. Like they hit it off. They can relate to each other. So that's not like fake or anything. Like the genuine chemistry between them. And then we get Marinette again. She comes in, immediately sees like again the chemistry because they're arguing about anime, and it's like, are they arguing about Naruto? Like, what are we talking about here? Because they're talking about like Minato, and she's like, okay, but you can't deny Minato. Like, he's a total dill, and it's just like, he's just another pretty blonde. Like, are you serious? First off, you're blonde, but okay, but like they're arguing about like the dumbest things, like things that just don't really matter, but they're like they're just funny. And she kind of sees this, the whole library incident happens, right? But not really. Like, she looks at it kind of like it's already kind of recorded because, like, thanks for her system and, like, the kind of thing she gets. But she also makes a point to be like, oh, can I take a picture of this specific? Because she talks about it out loud, like, oh, like, this is, like, a book on, like, the Rex, like, what they saying the powers, because, like, obviously you can't understand it. And so she's like, what if I take a picture of it, like, specifically one with Cat Noir? Mention nothing Volpino, by the way. Doesn't care to. And so she's like, can I take a picture of like the one with the camera? And she's like, I want to like show it to a friend. And at first, it takes a little bit of Adrian kind of catches on, which she like, oh, she means Cat Noir. It's like, okay, so it's like a very good. It's like, oh, and then they kind of see Marinette and like, what do you like, right? And then they go to the park, and the whole thing happens, but not really the same. Marinette is like listening in, right, where she's not supposed to be. Adrian keeps the book. She doesn't take it because no point. But they're sitting there and they're talking, but they're switching from English and French. So, and Marinette's listening in but doesn't know English, so she's like getting half the conversation, right? And they're just kind of like messing around. They're joking with each other, and she's like, "Oh, do you know?" So from her point of view, all she hears like, "Oh, Volpina," and it's like, "Oh, friends with the number one hero." And she's like, "Oh yeah." It's like, of course I am, like, right? But like she says it like because they're switching back between English and French, she only gets to hear half the conversation. And so she's really talking about Cat Noir. That's who they're both talking about, not Ladybug. At no point do they ever say Ladybug. Adrian's just like, oh, the number one hero. And like she's just like, they're talking about Cat Noir. They're obviously clearly like joking with each other. They don't like, they're obviously joking. But Marinette, clouded by like jealousy, thinks like she's lying, she's whatever, right? And like, so it still happens saying we're transformed Ladybug. See, when did I ever say you? Blah, blah. So we're not even friends. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, we're not even talking about you. And Adrian says like when she was like, we weren't even talking about you. What are you talking about? It's like just overheard a conversation that had nothing to do with you. And it's like, we weren't talking about you. It's like, when did you even? And she's like, oh, well, I don't put up live streams. It's like, what are you talking about? So the whole, after, fighting Volpina, she's there on the Eiffel Tower and she's like terrified. And I do like how they show this from a Kuma victim's point of view, like we even get from Ollie's point of view too, where it's like it truly does feel violating to have yourself be taken advantage of like that. To be kind of almost like you're in an emotional state, you're at a low point most likely, and to be taken advantage of and to be like almost like sweet talk to, right? Because it makes you want to give in, and to have him almost like control, like a puppet, it's violating to the victims, and it's just so like it's leaves them feeling just like beaten down even more and like disgusted, right? Being taken advantage of. And Lila, like, she's on knife tower. She's like, oh shit, like, oh, like, and that's already terrifying before, right? You're already sure to be taken advantage of, violated, and that's on top of the tower. Great. And now, Meredith, like as Ladybug is seeing, oh, she wasn't lying about that part. That, like, no, her and Cat, they do know each other, because he's comforting her. It's like, it's okay. And like, he doesn't even he doesn't even let Ladybug finish. So like, oh, listen, he's like, leave. Like, you've done enough, right? To be done with it, right? So he ends up taking her down to the ambulance, which I do like that they have a bit more active, or the police are, like, everything. So they do end up taking an ambulance. He reappears as Adrian. It's like, this could be like, are you okay? Everything. And so by the end of it, like, she just goes home. By the end of it, he visits again as Cat Noir. It's like, you okay? It's like, in case, because this is her first time being comatized, so it has to be pretty, like, jarring and a little, like, ooh. But then she's like, oh yeah, no, it's not great to have someone take advantage of me, like, and he sounded so whatever, right? And so he realized, like, you're the first person, because whenever people do comatize, they'll never remember what he sounds like. They never remember, like, what he says or anything like that at their time. And so Lila being the first one, she's like, oh my god, it's like, I do remember. She's like, well, he sounded very, like, cold, calculating, like a person, like, who's used to being in charge and dominating over everyone. And Adrian can't help but feel like, oh, that kind of sounds like his dad, because the whole, collector thing happened. But Lila doesn't find out until, like, afterwards, right? So next day, where Adrian shows up at her house, comes to get her, and she's over there changing. Big Cat Noir fan, of course, still wearing his colors and everything. And she's like, I want to hear none of that from, like, the biggest Ladybug fan ever. And he's like, oh, I'm not so sure anymore after yesterday. It's like, why? After a whole, because, like, obviously Kotai, it's like, and obviously when you have this image built up of someone in your head, you're like, well, she must be better than that. It's like, I don't know why she just did that, of, like, just out of nowhere, and starts off a conversation that, wasn't her business. But he does eventually. And I was like, oh, well, did she at least apologize? She's like, no, are you kidding? Why would she ever do that? It's like, that doesn't seem like her. And Adrian now is, like, even more pissed, but also kind of like, because the highlight of her day was like, well, at least Cat Noir came by, right? But he's still pissed off because, like, Ladybug has said to him, like, I'm going to apologize to Lila Rossi. And then just never, to him, never did. And then we get to school. And then she can at least make fun of it, though. Like, as, like, what she looked like as, like, Volpina. She's like, ugh, that is ugly suit. And we get to school. Marinette's there. She's talking to Tiki. She's like, oh, I don't know. I just, she's, like, has to apologize to Lila. And it's like, as Marinette, though, like, girl, you didn't do anything as, like, Marinette anyway. So it's like, it'd be weird if you did, but she wants to, apologize to Marinette, because it's like, even though in her mind she still thinks Lila was lying, but it was like, at least partly because she saw that her and Cat Noir actually really did know each other, but she still thinks she was lying. But, like, oh, being, like about the whole, they're talking, because she did mention Volpina during their little banter, like, oh, look, what if I'm Volpina, like, and, like, it's like, oh, I have a miraculous, like, she's clearly, again, they're just messing around. But she thinks that she was genuinely, like, serious about that. It's like, no. And then during class where they were bantering back and forth. They were talking about a song that she had literally just came up with on the spot, doing time. And she just remembered it. She's like, oh my god, this will be perfect. And Adrian's like, they're bantering back and forth, like, oh, I want to listen to it. And he's like, you have to sign like an NDA, right? And he's like, so like they're joking back and forth, and he's joking when he says, oh, marry me, and he like puts like his ring like on her, like it's just like a, I don't know, like a ring that he wears, not like his miraculous, or like it's just like a one of his rings. It's like, oh, marry me. And it's like he puts it on her finger, and they're joking, so obviously joking. But Marinette, regardless, freaks out and runs to the bathroom. Like, the hell is that about? I don't know. And then later, like she's like, okay, well, I have to go to the bathroom, and she has no idea where she's going, and so Adrian has to like direct her to the bathroom. And so we cut to like Marinette. She's freaking out. Tiki has to calm her down. She's like, what if they get married? Whatever. Like, but she's a liar and like all of this. And like Tiki's like, okay, first off, they can't get married. Like, calm down. Like, it's fine. Ida comes in, does whatever, and they're fine. So this is where Marinette finally like apologizes. So she's like, I'm sorry for that. And at first, Lila's confused because again, this is Marinette. Like, they're not Ladybugs. Like, what are we talking about? You didn't do anything, right? At least not as Marinette. But then she's like, oh. And again, she has to at least pretend that she doesn't know that she's, Ladybug. So it's like, okay, sure. And so she's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Basically, the story goes like, I heard you talking. I thought you were lying. And basically, she ended up sicking basically Ladybug on her. And for Lila, which she's not, like, again, the only thing she's really lying about is like just pretending not to know. Like, I know you're Ladybug. Like, I know that was a lie. But she does genuinely kind of feel hurt that it's like, I literally got like taken advantage of like some weird gross old man because of that. Because you thought I was lying. He's like, even though we were just joking around, like, regardless if Opie is real or not, like, who knows? I don't care. Like, I got her taken advantage of. And she's like, but you know what? I need to energy around me right now. It's like, it's fine. Like, I don't want to be around you right now. And like, it just kind of ends it there. And so I like how they're taking like, the inevitable confrontation is going to happen with Marinette because her and Adrian are hanging out. But I like how they take it where she's not vindictive towards Marinette. She doesn't go in like, I'm gonna ruin Marinette's life. Like, she doesn't care. She truly doesn't care. And it was Marinette who started because inevitable, because canonically Marinette does do that, right? Any girl, it's like, who is that next to Adrian? Okay. So it was inevitable that was gonna happen. She was just surprised. I was like, wow, I didn't even lie about having breakfast. What are we doing here, right? And so I just like the different direction it's taking it. Like, instead of being like vindictive and like, but it's just, she's just like, I'm over it. I don't care. It's like, I just, for right now, I don't want anything to do with you. Like, I don't want to be near you right now. And it truly shows like how like really disturbing it felt to get taken advantage of, and over something so stupid of like, you thought I was lying and just did like, it's just like, what is this? And Adrian's there because he ends up hearing it because she had slightly opened the door as she was like about to walk out. So Adrian ends up overhearing their conversation because he was there to like show like her where the bathroom is. So he ends up looking like, so he ends up overhearing and looking straight at Marinette, and she's like looks away. It's like, oh, and this makes her look even worse because again, they were on their way to, because she missed the whole collector thing because she went home. But on like on their way to school, he's filling her in on what she missed, as in like he got taken out of school to bed, like his dad, the book missing. And from his point of view, because he had the book on him, she didn't take it, and he had left his bag because he went running off to Lila. He had left his bag in the park, and Marinette was the one who gave it back to him. And then he found out his book was missing. So from his point of view, like, and that did happen. Marinette took it. Like, so it was, but like, without the context of she's late, but whatever, right? It just literally, she just stole it for no reason and then returned it later because, he found out Marinette was at his house, and then his dad comes out and he has the book now. All of this just kind of really makes her not look great in his point of view, right? Because first she kind of stole the book and then returned it for a reason, and now it's like, you kind of like sick Ladybug on her for what? Because like, you thought you were lying. And so on the way back, he doesn't really know what to think, and he's really glad that like, Lila doesn't really press, and like, so what do you think about me? Like, doesn't press, right? Because he's like, has to process it. It's like, because why even do any of that? And then he thinks back on, what Lila said, where it's like, you ever heard of like a girlfriend, like, oh, any girls have to worry about like, oh, like any girls that I have to worry about. Like, oh, you have a girlfriend. And he, like, no. Because, like, they were talking about earlier after the whole Ladybug thing, and how I was like, yeah, she kind of reminds me of, like, it's like, reminds me, like, it gives off, like, she might have been, like, an ex-girlfriend of yours. Like, you sure you haven't dated anyone? He's like, absolutely not. And so, it's like, does that mean she's, like, a fan? Because, again, she knows. And so, but remembering this of, like, you know, you have any girlfriend, like, jealous girls or whatever, and it's like, Adrian's like, she's not even my girlfriend. Like, we don't even, like, you know, so it kind of, like, not that Adrian right now at this moment recognizes that Meredith's a fan at all, or any of the behavior. He's just, like, annoyed more than anything and still processing it, but he doesn't really come to any conclusions yet. Things kind of continue like this, like, as time goes on, whatever, right? And they get closer, because again, it's not, like, instant, like, he loves her, but, like, it's just, like, they instantly click and they hit it off, but they're, like, very, like, they're just really close friends. And obviously somewhere along the way, Adrian does very clearly, because even Plague, like, you have it bad, right? He very clearly likes Lila, but he never really recognizes that's what he's feeling. Like, he doesn't realize, hello, like, you you like her, like, you're in love with her, and doesn't realize that. He does recognize Meredith's fan behavior during when they end up where Lila ends up going. She gets back from tour, and I do like how time passes after it, because it's not long after the whole peanut collector and God, was it Glacier? There we go. Like, is like that's a year, and then we kind of go into, like, the new year and, like, the new school year and everything like that. And but it's not Adrian doesn't recognize Meredith's fan behavior until they end up going over to the houseboat, right? Because the kids section are like, you know, they're doing music, and they're gonna check it out. And Luca is a really huge fan of Lila, and you know, he acts like a fan, right? He eventually kind of like, okay, I need to chill out, right? But, like, you know, in the beginning, first meet, he's like, oh my god, you're Lila, like, you're like, oh my god, like, he saw my vinyl and everything, and you're just like, haha. He's like uncomfortable, and he's like, he's not completely sure why he's uncomfortable at first, but then it kind of clicks. He's like, actually. He's like, this looks familiar for a bit, like, because, like, is Marinette, like, going, like, please Simon, no, but it's like the kind of frantic behavior is, like, oddly familiar, you know. It's like it's something kind of, like, familiar from it. And he does step in, and he's like, okay, like, oh, we're here, like, oh, let's start music practice. He's like, all right, because he doesn't say it, but, like, it is, like, in his mind, he's like, she's here for a good time, not to be like like a celebrity right now. It's like, Jesus, right? And by this point, because Lila found a kitten in the alleyway, is Junior. She's like, we're co-parenting, me and Adrian, like, you know, and his other father is Cat Noir. It's like, okay. And I do like how, again, are her and Marinette, like, on good terms? No, and, like, she even says as much, like, she has no problem saying it, because, like, they were, like, getting a harness, because she doesn't want to get a collar for him, because, like, he's a kitten, right? But she doesn't want to get a harness for him, so to, like, walk around. And so she was asking, like, oh, you think I could commission one for Marinette? It's like, you know, even though she doesn't like me, it's like, well, I think it's because you're, like, a bitch towards her. It's like, well, she's a bitch towards me first. And he's like, that's true. Because it's like, again, he's not oblivious, or, like, he's just, like, nice about it, you know? He's just, like, but he does recognize, like, that is true. Like, she's, like, a bitch to you first. And it's like, and I do like that. Again, that the direction we took this in of, like, does Lila ever antagonize Marinette? No. It's just Marinette might say something smart or, like, kind of snippy, and then she kind of says something back, and then, like, just be done with it. She's very reactionary. She doesn't go after first because she doesn't care. And so, you know, and she even says that she's like, oh, because she's like, oh, thanks, like, for the harness. It's like, oh, thanks for the harness. You know, oh, it's yours. Like, yeah, we're, because it wasn't technically lying. She called Ollie. It's like, can you tell Marinette to, like, it's from Adrian? It's like, it's not a lie. We're co-parenting. So, like, whatever. And she's like, and Ollie is down. She's like, okay, that's kind of funny, but, like, why? And so, you know, to an extent, she doesn't feel bad for Marinette, but it's like, girl, you know, let's settle down here, right? And, but it really does show, like, again, she does not care. Like, she even said it, like, out loud. She's like, oh yeah, I know you don't like me or anything. It's like, and, you know, she's like kind of surprised because, like, yeah, of course she said it out, like, whatever, it's very obvious you don't like me, you clearly don't. But she's like, at least I'll pay for it. And Brandon like wants to refuse, but it's like, girl, you want to be fashion designer in the room. She was like, you're gonna have to charge people, and like for every, like, you know, the material, every hour you spent on it, like everything, like you can't cheap out. And she even like gives like some real advice of like, if you're like, it's not bad being nice, but if you're too nice, people are very easily gonna smell blood in the water and take advantage of that. And she's like, it's like, you know, so it's not bad being nice, but like clearly set boundaries and like, you know, like so it's not like, and I do like how later Marinette really does come to this conclusion and kind of recognize that, where it's like, Lila isn't what she kind of imagines her to be, or like wants to like almost like want her to be, basically. I was like, oh, she'll be like Chloe. She's like or that, right? Even though not really. Even when she very clearly knows, like, yeah, I know you don't like me. She just doesn't care. It's whatever. Like, it's not the end of the world. She doesn't care. It's not even on her radar. She doesn't think about it. And she's nothing but like just kind of nice and polite towards her anytime they interact, because, you know, I mean, it's not really hard to be a decent human being. It's like whatever, right? I do like how, like, during her tour, right, Xavier and Clara Nightingale are there with her, right? Because they're on tour with her. They're like her openers. I do like how Xavier in this isn't like this bratty kind of like full of himself, even though he doesn't make his own music. It's actually kind of that, but like also we love it, right? It's actually kind of sad. His dad, a dick, right? He kind of, his dad's very controlling of everything, and he does want to make his own music, but like his dad controls everything, and so, you know, he's tired of stealing like people's music and like burying in them so deep that's like, you know, they can never get out of it. So it's like, it just looks like it's his own. He doesn't want to make it. He doesn't want to make his own music. He doesn't want to do his own thing, but he can't because of his dad. And she's like, well, legally, you're 18, so legally, technically speaking, you can get out of this. She's like, say the word, I will lend you my lawyers. We can get out of this. And then we learn, he's like, well, I don't know, it's like, you know, like my brother, and then I think both her and Claire, like, you have a brother? Like, I'm sorry, you have a half brother? Like, what are we talking about right now? And she's like, do you want to live with them? Say the word. Like, I love this, right? And Clara is like the outsider in the situation. She grew up pretty normally before kind of being thrust in the spotlight, and, you know, like a loving family and everything. And like she got really popular on YouTube and then got signed and whatever, right? While Lila and Xavier, like, this is just normal to them, like being able to throw money around and then kind of dealing with like the shadier sides, everything. They know all this. Clara is like the new kind of wide-eyed person. I mean, she's not like dumb, but it's like, you know, she's newer to all of this, so she's not used to it. So I do like the the personality and like things that they included that. I really like how anytime Cat Noir, like, you know, Adrian visit as Cat Noir, he even said like every time he goes to visit as Cat Noir, he leaves with like clarity and so many more questions and so many more new ideas, because Aya doesn't hesitate to be like, well, who even gave the Miraculous? Are you in touch with them? Like, are you trained? Like, whatever. Like, do you even have a headquarters? Like a base operation? Like, do you have any of this? Like, kind of like basic that like I think anyone would think of if you just read comics or like are into like superhero things. And it's like, oh no. And so he leaves with more questions like, oh yeah. And it's like, you know, she even says, like, why does Ladybug Miraculous have so many things that they can do, but like you don't? You only have Cataclysm? Like, is that all you can do, or is there more? And he's like, oh my god, yeah. And so he does end up gaining war powers when he asks Plag, it's like, would you please? And like, so he ends up being let in on Master Fu. And the relationship between him and Ladybug was not that great, and it kind of started deteriorating because keeping secrets and doing everything, until Lila was like, well, you're supposed to be equals, right? So just confront her, clear the air, you know, you're supposed to be partners on this. So they really do sit down and talk about it before it really starts deteriorating and get worse. And so Adrian can't help but find that like kind of ironic and kind of like funny. I'm like, eesh, like, what if you knew like Lila Rossi, like the person you're kind of hesitant about, like, is like, or like clearly don't like, because you know what happened. It's like the one who gave the advice, so now the relationship is like, they're so much better. They're more in sync now. They're doing great. And then they start like, okay, we need more help. The Kumas are getting stronger. We need you know, more, people. And I'm not saying like having like a whole like thing, but like they need help. And so that's when they start talking about temporary rulers. So it's like, oh, what do you think about Ladybug? And it's like the girl who has no self-preservation immediately runs headfirst and you can attack filming that girl. And it's like, well, and they're like, yeah, not great. And they're like, I mean, does she even have any like resonance with like the Fox Racklets or like any? It's like resonance. Like, yeah, I mean, like, Black Siamese kids, they clearly have resonance with each other. So it's like, did you not know about that? It's just like certain things. It's almost like the tables will flip where he's like, he knows certain things because he's beginning to question more things because of Lila. It's like, because these are things you really should have questioned in the beginning, but she didn't. Hell, he even brings up the point of like, because again, they make frequent references like Batman. It's like, oh, like she's like an oracle. Like they use cameras everywhere, so it's like, are you being careful with that? And he even says so much. I really hope you're not visiting like Master Fu as like as Ladybug. It's like cameras everywhere. And what if Hawkmoth? It's like no doubt he probably has access to that too. And so Adrian's power, now with his new power, he can kind of diminish his presence, even like his when he's not transformed, so no one notices him. So like as he's walking to Master Fu's like shop as Adrian, he like his makes his presence go unnoticed. So no one notices him just kind of walking. No one notices the Adrian Regressed. And it's like look at it, like so no cameras will notice him because he's like he didn't think about it before, but like now he obviously does. And so obviously his first pick for the Fox Practice, having power of like illusions, kind of being a trickster, hiding in shop and everything. It's like Lila. She lives with the chaos and everything and like kind of directing like attention away from certain things. And like, she's easy. Like she does like easy conversations. So it wouldn't be all that different from her doing that in like a fight. One thing that I really love and like didn't expect at all was at one point Adrian was kind of contemplating. He's like, I don't think I want to be like cat noir like forever. Like I think he doesn't want to do this forever. And it was like, oh my god, because I feel like usually you wouldn't even think about that, like, because he goes in this kind of where it's like, not that he's not himself as Adrian, right? He is. He's just more guarded and like he's Adrian Regress, certain image to hold, right? Versus Cat Noir, be his unfiltered self, whatever, right? And so to not want to be that because he genuinely feels like a connection to Lila and like he has genuine friendships with like Chloe and it's like it is like he feel like he doesn't really need this anymore and he doesn't want to do it forever. So it's like to for him to like admit that it's like I don't think I want to do this forever. It's like because I feel like that probably would come later, but as you get older, it's like you do come to conclusion like I don't want to do this forever. Speaking of friendships, it is later like established as they're going through everything. It's like Adrian is definitely close with Nina, right? They're best friends, of course. He's really chill. Him and Chloe still friends. They just kind of faked a friendship breakup with the class because they were really pushy. And Lila even says it, like, because she's like, yeah, no, they're really leaving because they all three of them hang out, like Chloe, like him, her, Adrian, and Chloe, like all three of them hang out. It's like, oh, he's just like, I don't really like how they're kind of like in his face, pushy. Like, yeah, they can be like that. And so, and he kind of felt like it's almost like he felt like his back was against the wall. And he's like, yeah, okay, aren't friends anymore, even though they really are. And Chloe's kind of like, not shocked by this, but she's like, oh, I thought you'd be friends with the girls. It's like, it's called being polite. And which is comes in where it's like, it's just being polite, she's not, it's like, they're acquaintances, they're classmates, but like, friends, not really. It's like, Ollie has potential, and it's like, fine, but it's like, wouldn't call really any of them friends per se. Overall, I really do love this kind of take on like how someone reborn as Lila because it really shows like this person, she's just like a chaotic gremlin who's like really living life to the fullest, especially since that's kind of like the system's goal of like live to she has goals and everything she has to reach. And she's not like really malicious to anyone in particular unless provoked. But just for the most part, she's like, I don't really care, and I'm gonna do whatever I want. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!